All right, and we are back. We got a 5-game slate to talk about here on Tuesday. Welcome, guys. My name is DK. Again, we break down the 5-game NBA DFS slate in this video. Let's cover content for player prop sites like PrizePicks, Underdog, and Parlay Play. Guys, the sponsor of the video is PrizePicks. If you're not on PrizePicks, you can use the code DKDFS for 100% match up to $100. It's been super fun. I've been on PrizePicks for a long time now, making a lot of money. Basically, how it works is you're building slips of player props, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6, and you can up to 25x your money. So if you guys do want to give it a try, again, use that code or the link down below. And we do have Taco Tuesday tomorrow, where we're going to be offering some discounts. I'll try to be posting some props as well. Apologies for not getting a video up today. Was a travel day yesterday for me. Honestly, it was just a really long day, so I was just exhausted at the end of the night. But let's recap tonight. Super tilting. Just so much pain. Duarte injured. And again, I talked about this. I did not want to play Chris Duarte, but I really like the rest of my lineup. So I ended up sticking with it. He gets injured. Absolutely no one runs worse. Was really high in the Sacramento-New Orleans game. Random. Massive blowout to punch the Sharks that went heavy in this game. The chalkiest game of the slate. Celtics, Hornets. How about overtime, right? And overtime hurt me. Even though I had two pieces, it clearly hurt me. 75% owned Miles Bridges. 45 minutes for him. Okay. Yeah. So just some incredible stuff. And then I was debating with the Şengün news what I wanted to do once Şengün got rolled in. Because I had a pivot. I could have went Şengün and Dylan Brooks, but I ended up sticking with Van Fleet and Jabari Smith. But yeah, I mean, if this Pelicans Kings game stay competitive, I have a huge night, and Duarte stays healthy. But nope, I get punished with a random massive blowout and Duarte injured. So frustrating. I had a very tilting day for props too. I had so many hooks. But again, just no overreactions for me. A top 1% better there for a reason with years worth of data. So I don't overreact there. I just, follow my process. Sure, some stuff is tilting a night in, night out. By basis, doesn't change my process when taking props. So yeah, that's a recap of everything. Just insanely, and I mean insanely tilting day. But let's talk about this 5-game slate. Don't really have the energy to put much more into recapping tonight. So Toronto, Orlando's the first game here. For the Raptors, basically fully healthy. Scotty Barnes, 8.9K. Pascal Siakam, 8.2K. Both good plays. If this game stays competitive, you should see pretty good minutes for them. I would see mid to high 30s minutes. I like the two main guys here for Portland. Schroeder, 6.4 is kind of just reasonable for me. He's been a little bit up and down, but you should see low 30s minutes from him. The minutes from Pirtle have been kind of all over the place. There have been some blowouts. The minutes have ticked up a bit of late. He's played better of late. So, if you told me for sure that Jakob Pirtle is going to play around 30 minutes, I'd be really high on him. Well, there's also been a lot of games, even competitive games, where they've kind of limited the minutes on Pirtle. So, kind of torn what I want to do here. But again, if you told me that he played out close to 30 minutes, I think you would say he's one of the better point per hour plays in the slate. Gary Trent Jr. is 4.8. I mean, he should see mid-20s minutes, maybe a little bit more. Always fine for tournaments. Achua and Boucher, they're getting some backup run. Achua 4K, Boucher 3.7. Both reasonable plays, both good point per minute. If you think Pirtle sees somewhat limited minutes, I think you want to have some interest in either Achua or Boucher. Not much else I'd probably get to here for Toronto. So let's talk about Orlando. No Carter Jr., no Fultz once again. You got Paulo 7.8, Franz at 6.5K. Both more contrarian plays for me. Not necessarily the best matchup, but you should see mid-30s minutes of both these guys. And then the two guards look a lot better with no Markelle Fultz. Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony, 5.6K for Suggs. He only put 18 minutes last game, but that game was a massive blowout. Cole Anthony saw 25 minutes. I think both are solid options at their respective price points. Bataze, Mo Wagner, they're kind of splitting the center position. Again, both a good point per minute, but they're priced, about right. So I'm not super excited about either. Anthony Black, 3.7K. The minutes have not been amazing on him. Gary Harris, Joe Ingles, these guys benefit a little bit without Markelle Fultz. They're playable values. Probably I would expect, both those guys to see high teens minutes, maybe low 20s. And then you are seeing a little bit of Isaac at the backup 5 at times. He's a fine GBP play. I just want to see the massive minutes upside for him because he's so injury prone, and they've really been, taking it easy on his minutes. Talk about Indiana and Atlanta. This is a game I think should be played at a very fast pace. Two teams that don't play a whole lot of defense. You got Halliburton at 10-4. I mean, this Pacers team just laid an egg last time out against the Magic. Not going to factor in that at all, right? Just kind of an outlier bad game. 10.4K. I mean, I still like Halliburton quite a bit. This game should stay competitive. It's a high total. I would expect, high 30s minutes for Halliburton. So I still think he looks pretty good. Miles Turner, 7.1K. He's up, he's down. He's very foul prone, as you guys can see. So I like the ceiling on him. The price point is still point, though. where he doesn't stand out, but clearly still a guy at the ceiling. And then the rest of this rotation is where it gets kind of tricky for me with these wings. With like Hield and Brown and Mathurin and Toppin and Naismith. These guys are all in play. They're all in play. I would say Hield's kind of the toughest to get to if you look at his minutes of late, but like all of Hield, Brown, Mathurin, Toppin, Naismith are playable. The minutes have just been all over the place in Mathurin. I will say if I was going to take a shot on one of these guys, it probably would be Mathurin. He's had a couple huge games, but there's also been many games where he's played like, 15, 17 minutes. So again, outside of like Haliburton, they're really going with the hot hand a lot with these wings. So yeah, kind of tough to break that down. Andrew Nemhard's 4K is questionable. If he misses, you'll get TJ McConnell playing some backup point at 4.3K. He would be an okay option because he is a good point per minute guy. You did see a little bit of run with him alongside Haliburton last game. And then Jalen Smith, he's playing the backup 5. 13 minutes last game. Again, it was a massive blowout. Usually, getting mid-teens minutes, which makes him a playable value option. Let's talk about Atlanta. They're pretty easy to talk about. Trey, DeJounte, both look like solid plays at their respective price points. I think factoring in salary, I'd give the edge to Trae Young over DeJounte Murray, but I have no issue with either. Both I think are decent point per dollar plays. The bigs, Capella, Okongwu, they're splitting time. No real strong takes in either. I'm totally fine with either of these guys Okongwu is a value play, Capella in the mid-range. Bogdanovich feels a little bit pricey, but still not out of play. I would expect mid-20s minutes from him. The minutes on Jalen Johnson have been a little bit up and down. I played him a couple times. I took his over fantasy score here against Miami. 22 minutes. Next 3 games, 36, 31, and 36 minutes. If you told me for sure that Jalen Johnson was to play 36 minutes again, I would definitely play him tomorrow. So he's intriguing. He is a good point per minute guy. Hunter, Bay, these wings, their minutes have kind of fluctuated a little bit, especially with Hunter. Sadiq Bay's minutes have been relatively consistent. I've finished all these wings. There's no way I'm like touching Garrison Matthews or anyone like that, though. So let's talk about Cleveland and Philly. Cleveland, you got no Mitchell, no Okoro. Karis LeVert status up in the air as well. He's questionable. If LeVert does not play, you should get the starting lineup of Garland, Strus, Dean Wade, Allen, and Mobley. It would be the guards that would stand out to me in that scenario. Garland and Strus. You would probably see mid-30s minutes from Garland. He'd be the go-to guy offensively. Max Strus would do a bit more of the playmaking, relying on a bit more offensively. Mobley would look better if there's no LeVert. He's been solid of late. Jarrett Allen, 6K. Minutes have been ticking up a little bit. He played 32 minutes there against Detroit a couple games ago. Relatively safe option, but again, on the opposite side, he's going up against Embiid. So there's some foul risk there with Jarrett Allen. And Dean Wade, 3.9K. Finally had a decent game. I would say that's a bit of an outlier, though, for him. And then I do want to mention Craig Porter Jr. as a viable option here if there's no Karis LeVert. He's played extremely well. A guy that I played a lot in the Summer League. Again, he's a stat sheet stuffer. Now, there has been some blowouts recently, but he'll see decent rotation minutes, especially if there's no Karis LeVert. So I do want to mention that. No one else I would go to, though. Let's talk about Philadelphia. Philadelphia Embiid, 11.2K. I mean, it's Joel Embiid. He's played extremely well this year. I think if you can afford him, he looks good. Max at 8.8 feels priced about right. I would rather play Embiid if I was going to spend up between the two. Harris and Melton, these guys are seeing pretty significant minutes right now. You should see high 30s minutes for Tobias. Melton in a competitive game should see mid-30s minutes. I think factoring in salary, I'd slightly prefer Melton, but both are solid secondary plays here. With Oubre out, you should get Batum starting 4.3K. Minutes been a little bit up and down. I'll expect mid to high 20s. See Covington in the rotation. I don't think I can get to any of these other value plays though for Philly. Portland and Phoenix. So really bad Blazers team here. I mean, they got absolutely destroyed by the Thunder. I had a relative low on Shet. The other slate, just Thunder up by 40 at half. Yippee! But Brogdon's questionable. If Brogdon plays, I think the Blazers would have a slightly better chance of keeping this game competitive. And then you would see Mays shift to the bench and be unplayable if Brogdon plays. So Brogdon news is relatively important. As far as the other main guys, Grant, Sharp, and Ayton, well, if you think they can keep it competitive, then the Blazers' main guys would be solid options here in tournaments. I don't think they're going to be super popular. Obviously, there's a lot of blowout risk, but I mean, in a competitive game, there's been a lot of games where these main guys have seen mid to high 30s minutes. So all the main Blazers, I think, are fine GPP plays. A Kamara, 4.2K, should see, if you see he's had a foul trouble, mid-20s minutes, maybe a little bit more. He also could play in the blowout, too. There's been times where Kamara has closed in blowouts. If you think this Blazers team gets destroyed, I mean, you can consider like a Jabari Walker at 3.9K probably would benefit. Maybe even a Duop Reith at 3.2. The issue is they still do have a third center on this team. Like Reith was playing the blowout, and then they finally dusted off Moses Brown and played him a bit at the end. That is the downside. Like I don't even know if Duop Reith would play all the blowout minutes. So let's talk about Phoenix. Get no Beal, KD, Booker, both decent options at the top. I mean, it's a great matchup for these guys. I think if there's no limit on Booker, I'd prefer him to Kevin Durant. So we'll see if we get any sort of news on if he's no longer in limit. Again, he played 40 minutes last game, but that was double overtime, so only 30 in regulation. My boy Nurkic, reasonable price point, little revenge game narrative for him. The minutes have not been amazing competitive games, but we know he's a good point per minute guy. If you do get that random game where he plays 30 plus minutes, he can smash. He's kind of like a Jonas Valanciunas where the minutes can fluctuate. When the minutes are there, this guy smashes. And like JV, I don't know if you guys saw his first half. Like JV was absolutely smashing. Gordon and Allen, these guys benefit without Brad Beal. Gordon had a huge game last game, but again, double overtime. Wouldn't put too much emphasis into that. Both these guys are solid options. Eubanks at 4.1K. We'll back up Nurkic. If you think Nurkic sees some limited minutes, I think Eubanks is a solid option there. But all right, let's finish up here with Utah and the Lakers. So Utah was a team I was pretty high on last slate. A lot of the guys absolutely smashed. No Walker Kessler again, so you're going to see John Collins at the 5. In a competitive game, you should see low to mid 30s minutes from him. I think makes him a good option if he can stay out of foul trouble. Lauri Markkanen dealt with a little bit of foul trouble, still played 40 minutes in regulation. So the front court, I think, looks good. Clarkson's played pretty well. He's also playing pretty big minutes. My boy Keontae George, I think, sees high 20s minutes. We know he's not a bad point per minute guy. Has had some games where he's not shot the best, but if you get a decent shooting game for Keontae George, again, he's stuffing the stat sheet, right? He's doing a lot of the assists, and he's doing a decent job rebounding the ball. So if you get a game where Keontae shoots well, he could smash. Olynyk playing the backup 5. THT and Sexton, I think, are both reasonable values. These are guys that will be productive when they're on the court. I expect around 20 minutes for both these guys. So make some solid values. Bachi's going to start. If he stays out of foul trouble, I'd expect mid-20s minutes from him. Let's finish up with the Lakers. Again, they're listing LeBron as questionable. He's going to play. He's played like the last 3 or 4 games. I'm just same thing with Embiid, right? I'm just expecting them to play. Embiid's not even on the injury report, though, this time. He's not, finally. But yeah, LeBron's going to play. With that being said, LeBron, AD, both solid options at the top. I think I do prefer Anthony Davis. LeBron has played very well of late. Anthony Davis has been struggling a little bit, or not playing as well. But when these guys are priced similar, or even LeBron's more expensive, I'm just going to play AD every time over him. D'Lo feels a little bit pricey. Reeves, 5.7K off the bench, feels priced about right, but still playable. Reddish and Prince, these wings are seeing decent minutes. They're relatively scoring independent, but they are solid options. Again, just comes down to can they make their shots? Well, Taurean Prince did not make his shots. He shot 1 of 11 last game, but he's had a couple big games this year when he is making his shots. Rui and Christian Wood, the minutes have fluctuated a bit on them, but you did see 32 minutes last game for Rui. That is good to see. Christian Wood only 18. I think if I had to pick between the two, I would give the edge to Rui. He also has power forward eligibility, where Wood is only a center. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for the video. As always, if you do enjoy, just make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and we'll see you guys all in the next video.